Did you really watch the entire beach blanket bingo clip? If you did, I'm sorry, but that's a really good indication of what surf culture was perceived or put out there by Hollywood. That was exactly what I think was people who weren't in the culture, who weren't possibly going to beaches, kind of mid America. We're seeing the Hollywood version of surf culture, and it was portrayed like that. And then again, why Surfer magazine was such a big deal, because we're like, no, 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 no. There's a whole other world to this we should really talk about. So while we're here, I want to talk about music. Surf music is divided into two categories: the pulsating, reverb heavy, wet sounding instrumental music made famous by people like Dick Cale, big guitarist, and the smooth voiced, harmonized vocal style invented by the Beach Boys, namely Brian Wilson. So you got Dick Dale, which we'll discuss in a second, and then the Beach Boys, which is kind of the Beach Boys. You know the Beach Boys. So Dick Dale and his his band, the Deltones, actually sought that wet sound to emulate the sound of waves. So that was the sound that he tried to mimic in his music, was actually to feel like you were feeling what it was like to hear the sound of a wave, to kind of feel like what water, moving water sounded like. This is made possible by an outboard separate reverb unit that was developed by Fender in 1961, as opposed to a built-in amp feature. So this somewhat gave it a wet sound, and that alternative picking sound was inspired by Arabic music, because of actually Dick Dale's Lebanese uncle. So that sound that we know very famously as this kind of wet surfer sound was inspired by his Lebanese uncle, who used to play a lot of Arabic music. So I think we should, that's a really cool little credit to a whole other culture that probably wasn't even, you wouldn't think influenced this culture. So if you haven't heard of Dick Dale's music, here's something you should listen to.